Wait.
Welcome everyone to the Redbourn Annual Parish Meeting on 29th of April 2021, including those watching the recording on our website. As it's a Zoom meeting, it's very much pared down from our usual APMs, but at least we can still hold it, which we weren't able to do last year. Zoom council meetings have certainly been a different way of working, but I'm pleased to say we haven't had any Handford Parish Council or Jackie Weaver moments, and hopefully we won't tonight. First of all, do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, we've got Maria and Victoria.
Okay, thank you, Chris. The chairs of our committees will shortly bring you up to date with what's been happening in the Parish Council over the last year or so, and there's also an update on our photography competition. Before that, though, we need to approve the minutes of our last APM on the 25th of April 2019. So is everybody happy with the minutes? Are they an accurate representation of what was said to the best of our knowledge, given it was nearly 2 years ago now since we actually held it? Any dissenters? Everybody happy? Yeah, okay, thank you. So we've received the minutes from last time. Moving on, I'd like to say a few words about general parish council matters. The St Albans District Council's draft local plan, with over 3,000 new houses proposed on Greenbelt in Redbourn Parish, was heavily criticised by the government planning inspectors last year, very much echoing the points submitted by Redbourn Parish Council. As a result, the plan was withdrawn. A new Greenbelt review has been commissioned with the intention of being less reliant on large strategic sites to deliver the necessary housing, as well as addressing the issue of sustainability, particularly with the increasing concern over climate change. A new local plan is now in preparation, and we will see how that impacts on Redbourn in due course. We have also rebooted our neighbourhood plan, Redbourn's neighbourhood plan, and there'll be more on that later on. On the issue of climate change, Redbourn Parish Council and its Redbourn Climate Action Group is now signed up to the website Count Us In, which encourages us all to take action, no matter how small. It all makes a difference. Our councillors have agreed to modify an aspect of their daily lives to lower their carbon footprint. More about this can be found on our website and our Facebook and Instagram pages, and hopefully many residents in Redbourn will join us in this initiative. I'm pleased to say we have recently appointed a Redbourn Parish Council Youth Advisor, who is Coco Owen. She's currently in sixth form, and she will feed back to us more long in the tooth members of the council, that is, about issues affecting young people in Redbourn. We're also hoping that we'll be able to re-establish a Redbourn Parish Youth Council at some point in the future. So just give us a wave, Coco, so we can see that. There you are. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us tonight. We also have a vacancy on the Parish Council itself, as Councillor David Fenton is standing down, and I would like to thank him for all his hard work over the last couple of years. That does mean we will be co-opting a new councillor as soon as possible. So if anyone is interested in being a parish councillor and being involved in the third tier of government here in Redbourn, which can be very rewarding, trust me, please contact the clerk for details. You don't have to be a member of a political party, and I and many other parish councillors are independent. Finally, I'd like to pay tribute to Councillor Tony Swendell, who sadly passed away earlier this year. After a stellar career in the Hertfordshire Police Force, he became first a parish councillor and then a district councillor, serving Redbourn for over 20 years. Many residents have spoken about how he helped them with their council issues, and that includes me and my family. In fact, he inspired me to become a councillor myself and was always offering good advice and friendly encouragement. We will all miss him greatly, and as a tribute to him and his family, his father being a former clerk to the council, we've decided to rename the main hall as the Swendell Hall. Now I'm going to hand over to the chairs of the committees for their reports, starting with the chair of the Commons and Green Spaces Committee, Councillor Colin O'Donovan.
Thank you, David. Thank you for that. I echo that point on Tony Swendell. Just a short report on the Commons, just to say how we work. We cover the Common, the play areas, Cumberland Gardens, Millennium sites, and look after the River Red. The Common due to COVID, there's been a lot less events this year. But however, our residents have found the common most rewarding walking around it and visiting it very often. This resulted in the bins being filled up more often, and it's been a bit of a challenge keeping them in order. But, please let us know if you find any bins that need emptying. We'll do it as soon as we can. There's been a lot of roadworks around the common this year, with different cables and gas companies and one thing and another. Whilst they have cleared up quite a bit, we're not totally satisfied with what they're doing, and we're keeping an eye on it and we'll repair it as required. This year events I've got written down. I've got July the 3rd. This is on the common. I'm active in Redbourne and doing a fun day with a Conquer Con and lots of other good stuff, once I understand. And we hope to receive Classics on the Common back later in the year. That's formally to be agreed yet. But it has been agreed that on November the 6th, the fireworks will go ahead again this year. But this won't go ahead unless we get some more volunteers. So I ask everyone there, everyone that can hear, please volunteer. We'll do our very best to produce this again this year. This is a non-profit making organisation. It's not funded by the parish council, so we need all the assistance we can. We deal with the play areas, and one at the moment is the East Common play area. Has a mound on it, which is a very good idea when we put it in, with a nice slide and a tunnel. But the grass never stops, never grows on it. So we're thinking of changing this to another play equipment, and we have got one quote already, and we're looking for others. If anybody's got any ideas on what would be good there, please let us know. One of the other play areas is the long cut. We've installed new fencing and self-closing gates there to keep it safe. Cumberland Gardens I've gone to now. There was, we thought some sinkholes coming into it during the year. It turned out it wasn't sinkholes, it was just some poorly filled in foundations or where trees were took out. But unfortunately, this made one of the big yew trees unsafe, which we had to take down for safety reasons. The sinkholes are being filled in. We've got a contractor in mind to do this properly. In that area, we have several activities going out for the year. We have yoga, Key Thai, karate, and concerts and some plays. And of course, the Christmas market that goes on in there. And we've also updated the lighting system in that area, keeping on top of it. Allotments are we have 3 allotments in Redbourne that Parish Council support. And they've been very busy, of course, because of COVID. But there's only 1 or 2 sites left if anybody is interested in holding an allotment store. Our village clock is a great amenity, but it keeps conking out. So we keep trying to repair it, and I think the time is right as I passed it today. Please let us know if it's not. What else we got here? I've got this all written down in good order. I think that's about it for me, really. If anybody's got any questions later, I'll be trying to do my best to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colin. So now we're moving on to the report from the Planning Committee and Councillor Teresa Finnegan.
Thank you. Yeah, so just a little update. It's kind of what we sort of talk about every year and on sort of planning applications and sort of the process of it. So once a planning application is being lodged with SADC and before a decision is approved or refused, there's a period of consultation, which is where we come in to have a look at the application. They're considered at the planning committee meeting, which are held now every 3 weeks. They used to be every 4 weeks, but now they're every 3 weeks to coincide with the Plans North, which I'll come on to in a minute. And these Agendas are posted in the notice boards. They're on the new website that we've got now, and also you can get information from the deputy clerk. And members of the public are able to come along, and they can have 3 minutes to, you know, talk about a particular planning application. The planning committee then make these recommendations to the district planning officers based on planning policy and their knowledge, and their view is only advisory. That's our view, but SADC planning officers do take note of the parish council's comments, and you know, we're pretty much, I couldn't tell you the percentage, but you know, there's only like a few that they kind of don't disagree with us. All planning applications submitted to St Albans District Council can be found on their much now improved website, which is much easier to navigate around now than the old one was. So during the consultation period, there's also a process whereby a contentious planning application can be called in by a district councillor and goes before the Plans North Committee at St Albans District Council, where there's a committee of district councillors who make a final decision. But the councillors, you know, the district councillors only tend to do this if they feel that there's reasonable grounds to call in an application. The planning committee occasionally do ask a district councillor to call an application in if we're concerned that the planning officers might take a different decision, and we would want to sort of get our point of view across. So that's why we would either call it in to grant, minded to grant, or to refuse. Members of the public are all welcome to come along to these meetings, and you also have an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes as well. I think you have to sort of report in on the morning of the actual day of the event, if I remember rightly. And then also a parish councillor on occasion speaks, like, for instance, I spoke last year for the co-op to represent that at one of those Plans North committees. It's been a strange year doing these Zoom meetings for the planning, but to be honest with you, considering we've been doing it every 3 weeks, you have surely kept us very busy in those meetings. So thank you, or should I say not thank you? Shall I move on to neighbourhood plan, David?
Yes, please, Teresa.
Right, so it follows on, isn't it? Right, so a little report on the Rebel neighbourhood plan. Since the Regulation 14 pre-submission consultation that took place back in January 2018, we've been working to assemble appropriate documentation to submit for a Regulation 16 to St Albans District Council for a public referendum. Understandably, progress has been slow because we are aligned with what happens at St Albans and obviously their draft local plan, which has now twice failed and declared unsound. And the last one was most recently back in February 2020 by the independent inspectors. And SADC now have gone back to the drawing board back in October for a 3rd time. So the view of the neighbourhood plan working party was always to wait and see what happens. After them obviously failing twice, we had much discussion within the working party and felt we should carry on with the neighbourhood plan and get it over the finishing line. In terms of the current development sites proposed in our neighbourhood plan, we are guided by SADC's local plan, as these sites all sit in the Greenbelt, and they can only therefore be removed by the Secretary of State and through the process of the local plan. So we as a group would like to see these proposals developed in a way that would best serve our local community's needs. So that's something that would happen hopefully in the future at some point. So before we submit our neighbourhood plan to SADC, hopefully later this year, we need to revisit it. And we've been doing so since the end of last year with the help and guidance of an independent planning team and working party members. And this is what we've been up to. We've obviously relaunched the neighbourhood plan with a public consultation on our visions and objectives, which was back in January. We've got now an updated housing needs assessment undertaken, which is evidence-based. We've actually recently revisited the plan itself, going through it page by page, looking at our current policies, bulking up those policies and putting new policies in. So we're sort of looking again at the transport, leisure and wellbeing, high street and the environment. We also have some new additions to the plan. We've recently completed a green spaces report, and now we're just currently looking at design statement and designs codes, looking to put a high street workshop together to sort of look at that aspect in a bit more detail, and climate change and action. And hopefully that gives you a brief overview of where we are at the moment. And then, as Colin said, happy to answer any questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. So now we move on to the report from the Management and Communications Committee, and that the chairman of that committee over the last 2 years was Councillor Fenton, who's now left, but he's written a report, and Councillor Ian Colwell is going to read it out. So, Ian.
Given all that, as David said, I'm now the acting chair of the management communication. So I would just I'll be reading out David's Fenton's report. The Management and Communications Committee is responsible for the following: the management of the parish centre, the management of the parish council, and communications. First of all, management of the parish centre. This has been a difficult year for the running of the parish centre due to COVID-19 restrictions. Income from lettings was down by 58% to 13,300. More importantly, we have not been able to provide residents, businesses, and the community with the facilities the parish centre offers. At the outset of the pandemic, the staff conducted a full COVID-safe risk assessment and put in place measures to ensure that the building, the staff, and the users could be confident in using a COVID-safe facility. These measures have been constantly reviewed and revised as necessary as government guidelines have changed, which kept the parish centre always COVID safe. During the closure, we have taken the opportunity to decorate and make improvements to the centre. Then go on to management of the parish council. The staff should be commended for adapting the council ways of working during the pandemic. Following the thorough risk assessment, staff have worked throughout either at home or when needed in the parish centre. Redbourne Parish Council was the first council in the district to adopt the use of video conferencing, Zoom, as we are now on for all meetings. This has seamlessly continued, and effective public participation and the technology has been embraced enthusiastically by all councillors. And then communications. These have been improved during the year with a new website and email system being developed. The website includes all the information the council is required to publish and also complies with the new accessibility regulations. It has a community directory and a business and local service directory. Greater use have been made of Facebook and Instagram, and check out the website at www.redbourne-pc.gov.uk, and don't use the old address because it is no longer functioning. In addition, we have continued with the publication of Redbourne News, a council publication which is delivered to all Redbourne homes and is also available digitally on all our new website. On our new website. Summary: a difficult but positive year for this committee due to the positivity and dedication of the staff and support from councillors. A big thank you to Chris, Vicky, Becky, and Zoe. We will open the parish centre to all when COVID restrictions allow and continue to improve our communications. And a big thank must go to David Fenton and Becky for the new website. And again, I will answer any questions which you'd like to ask at the end of the meeting.
Right, thank you very much for that, Ian. And now on to the report of the Finance and Policy Committee from the Chairman, Councillor Stephen Kidd.
Okay, so pleased to report the parish centre is in good financial, the parish is in good financial health under the stewardship of Chris, Clerk and Responsible Financial Officer. We've got just over 6 months spend held in general reserves, which is the recommended amount for a council of our size. Of that, 50,000 roughly is held in long-term investments and 90,000 short-term accessible funds. For the year 2019-20, now fully audited and approved, accounts available on the parish centre. We closed the year 16,900 under budget. Strong performance, driven mostly from parish rentals, 9,000 above budget, but also some good cost savings against budget. The 2021 year, which we've obviously now finished, not yet signed off, is also expected to be comfortably under budget. The budget for the year we're heading into, 21-22, has been held at pretty much the same amount in total as last year, but because of changes to the number or the expected number of ratepayers, it's going to add around about 2% to the precept. based on Band D property. So that lifts it to just under £105 per year, which is I think around about £2 per year. Where we'll be spending this money, so for 2021, we're looking at a precept of just under 241,000. Roughly 31% of that is spent on the common and open spaces. That's one of the two biggest areas. Plus parish assets around the village. 32% goes on running the parish centre plus the parish team. Around about 12% is spent on admin and communications. 12% goes on grants. This year, around about 10% will be allocated to neighbourhood plan and green belt defence, and then 3%, which is about normal, on the contribution to the PCSO. That's where the money goes. Just then to say at the end, we've made a conscious effort to hold the grant pot, I think, for the second year, possibly the third year, at 28,000. We believe that for relatively modest amounts, the parish council is able to support a whole range of village events, clubs and support groups, especially that last one last year, that significantly enrich the quality of life in the village for all residents. And that's the finance report.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I don't know whether other people had a problem, but you did drop out a few times during that. But I think we heard most of what you had to say. And Jane, do you want to say something?
I think, sorry to be, but I think, Pat, you haven't muted, so it was picking up Pat's noise and interrupting Stephen's.
The one I had.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyway, if anybody's got any questions about the finances, they can get in touch directly with the clerk and see the accounts, and she can certainly explain any issues if that's what you need to do, if that's what you want. So thank you, Stephen, for that. And we're now going to move on to Councillor Simon Vegro, who's going to update us on the photography competition, which I hope most people are aware of and seems to be going very well. So Simon, over to you.
Thank you very much, David. The photography competition has been a great success. We've had already over 100 entries across all the categories, and we're particularly pleased with the entries from the children and the youth of Redbourn. Many of the photos are wonderful, demonstrating yet again the enormous talent and creativity in our wonderful village. Judging will take place on the 7th of May, according to strict criteria, in the company of two local professional photographers, Annie Griggs and Jeanette Lendon, who have helped us to run the competition. The winning entry will be on the front page of the next edition of Redbourn News. We will be joining the Active in Redbourn Fun Day on the Common on 3rd of July, as referenced by Councillor O'Donovan earlier, and holding an exhibition of the photos in Cumberland Gardens. At this event, we will be asking visitors to come along and vote for a People's winner, whose photo will then be professionally framed and displayed permanently in the village for everybody to admire for years to come. Finally, we've been posting all the entries on Instagram and Facebook as part of the Council's policy to widen our social media presence. I'd like to say a special thank you to Becky Firth, the Council's Community Officer. Without her creativity and enthusiasm, the competition wouldn't have got off the ground. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, thank you, Simon. And yeah, I have to say, I think that I'm really looking forward to seeing the final results, that's for certain, because some of the photographs that I've seen have been outstanding. There's no doubt about that. Quite impressive. And of course, people can carry on sending them in. And we will obviously, as Simon's been explaining, obviously decide on winners in due course. Okay, so we now move on to the item which says to receive questions and motions from members of the public. Now, we don't have many members of the public here tonight. Are there any questions? I haven't been informed that there are any questions. Are there any questions from our members of the public? No, okay. Well, thank you very much for coming along, and hopefully more people will be watching this recording over the next few weeks, because it will be obviously available for some time. And I thank you very much for coming along, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you in person, because from now on we can only meet, well, after May the 7th, we can only meet actually physically according to the law. So we're going to have to work out how we actually do that without committing any COVID offences. So that's something for me and Chris to discuss, and obviously we'll make sure that we do it in a safe environment. We have, of course, the annual council meeting next Thursday, which can still be done on Zoom, and that will take place as usual. Otherwise, it's the next issue will be the committee meetings and the next full council. So thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.